Did you know there hasn't been a repeat division champ in the NFC East since 2004? So is this the first time we see that repeat winner, or does this trend continue? And personally, I'm on a pretty good run betting the NFC East. Our big ticket under last year was the Commanders under 6.5 wins, and we picked the Cowboys to go over their win total and win the division last year. The year before that, we bet the Eagles to win the division. So I'm on a 4-0 streak betting the NFC East, and I hope to push that to 5-0 with this division pick. So, welcome to my new YouTube page. My name is Peter Apple, and a $100 unit better is up $7,500 taking my picks over the last 3 seasons. And you can find all of those NFL picks, whether it be the futures that I've already released and will release, or my Monday, Thursday, and Sunday cards all will be posted to this YouTube channel. So I hope that you'll sit back, enjoy all the NFL content, hit that subscribe button, stay a while, and let's break down the NFC East for the 2024 NFL season. The 2023 Eagles had an unbelievable season, but I use the term unbelievable and not incredible because it's hard to fathom that a 10-1 team through the first 11 weeks, but still finished with an 11-6 record. They were a wild card team, and I'm sure they want to forget the embarrassment of losing 32-9 to the Baker Mayfield led Buccaneers. Now the Eagles, they left a bad taste in everybody's mouths, but are yet still the favorites to win this division. And we've seen a significant change in live movement. They opened at around plus 130, plus 125, depending on the book that you're looking at. Now they're down to minus 120, minus 125, depending on, again, what book you're looking at. And I think that line is moving due to the current situation. The Cowboys kind of spiraling right now. The Giants need to figure out if Daniel Jones is the guy in a contract year. And the Commanders, I think, are going to struggle to protect Jaden Daniels. However, just because those other teams don't look so hot right now, why do we want to back the Eagles at all? I'll tell you why. Pace is going to be the name of the game for the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles. They brought in Kellen Moore as their new OC to replace Brian Johnson. And in Kellen Moore's last 5 seasons as an offensive coordinator, those offenses have finished top 5 in pace. So according to Sharp Football Analysis, the 2022 offense averaged 25.9 seconds per play in the first half of games, ranking first in the NFL. If you remember, our largest Super Bowl wager in 2022, we had a ton of them, but the biggest one was the first quarter over between the Eagles and the Chiefs due to the Eagles' pace early in games, and that hit with ease. The 2023 offense averaged 29.7 seconds per play in the first half, ranking 25th. It was a slow, sluggish offense that just dried up as the season concluded. From an offensive standpoint, the Eagles' schedule is also reasonably easy this year. According to Sharp Football Analysis, and again, I always quote Sharp Football Analysis. That's where I get a lot of my numbers from. Shout out Warren Sharp. You can follow him on Twitter. You can also go to sharpfootballanalysis.com. He's got a book. I highly recommend it. I get it every year. So a lot of the data that I get is from there. So I wanted to shout out Warren Sharp. So according to Warren Sharp, last year the Eagles faced a top 10 schedule of pass defenses, but this year they project to face a top 10 easiest schedule of pass defenses. The Eagles will also face the 4th easiest schedule of run defenses, and now they have a star running back to feast on it. Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the NFL, is going up against one of the easiest schedule of run defenses behind PFF's 2nd graded offensive line. If you see a theme here with the teams I like to back, I build from the trenches out. I look at your offensive line and your defensive line. And this Eagles O-line, I know it lost Jason Kelce, but Kelce has been in training camp all offseason preparing new center Cam Jurgens, the guard from last year, who even came up as a center. So I think that transition is going to be totally fine. And even if it's a little bumpy, the rest of the line is just great. I mean, Lane Johnson is still the man. Jordan Mailata is as good as it gets. Landon Dickerson was the 17th best guard last year by PFF out of 79 qualified guards. They can pretty much withstand a change at center, especially with Kelsey's help. And then you have Mekhi Becton and Trevor Steen. They're battling for that guard spot, but in reality, either is fine with me. Let's go to the skill positions. I mean, they're elite. Saquon Barkley, RB1. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are fantastic on the outside. And Dallas Goedert is kind of, I think, I don't know if he's the most underrated tight end, but we all know that he's pretty good. But with a new injection of life from the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, I think this offense is going to look a lot like the 2022 offense that sent this team to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about the defense because they do lose Fletcher Cox, which, I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day, but it's definitely a big loss. But Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter can hopefully hold down the middle of the defensive line. Carter was PFF's sixth best interior defender, and Davis was 30th. They are both great options that is going to make Cox's departure a lot easier to manage. They also brought in Bryce Huff on the edge to replace Hassan Reddick, who did record 10 sacks last year and was a top 25 edge rusher by PFF. And you also have Josh Sweat and you have Brandon Graham back as well. While they've had some departures, I think they can weather the storm and be one of the better defensive lines in the NFL. Funny enough, PFF ranks them as the third best in the league. So if we're looking at the trenches, PFF grades their offensive line as the second best in the NFL. If we're talking about the defensive line, they rank them as the third best in the NFL. Me personally, I love the trenches. Now, there is a pretty weak position group on the field, but it's the same weak position group we always see with the Eagles. Howie Roseman's special. He doesn't give a shit about linebackers. He spends money on other positions, which, I think you do need good linebackers in the NFL, but it is what it is. And they did bring in Devin White, who formerly with Tampa Bay, he's like 2 years removed from a Pro Bowl, has tons of talent. Both of their linebackers are high draft picks, but not a lot of them have performed. So I'm hoping that with Vic Fangio, now the new defensive coordinator on this team, he can unlock some of what the Eagles, I'm sure, are looking for when they look at the talent that both of these linebackers have. Go to the secondary. I mean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is back, one of the better DBs in the game when healthy. Reed Blankenship is just a beast at safety. He's 18th best out of 95 qualified on PFF. And Darius Slay is kind of getting up there in age, so they addressed that position in the draft, adding Quinyon Mitchell, a first-round cornerback, and Cooper DeJean, a second-round cornerback as well. They have many options in the secondary, and I expect Vic Fangio, again, to get the most out of this group. This Eagles defense could have been better last year, but it looks like a solid unit heading into 2024. And again, bringing in Vic Fangio makes me even more excited about the players on the field. He was a consultant with the Eagles back in 2022, but kind of lost him in a bidding war to the Dolphins. The Dolphins just paid him more. But now he's back and is an incredible upgrade over whatever else the Eagles thought they had at defensive coordinator. In 1 year, with tons of injuries to this defense, Vic Fangio improved this Dolphins unit from 24th in EPA the year before to 14th last year. I think he's one of the better defensive coordinators in the game, and the Eagles, I love that they brought him back. So, as you probably can tell by now, I have the Eagles as the best team in this division. But why go with the division odds at a price that's around even money? I'm pretty low on the Cowboys this year. Jerry Jones is screwing everything up. Why didn't you pay Dak after, he finished second in MVP voting? Now he's got a $55 million cap hit. And the same is true with CeeDee Lamb, who's currently holding out for a new contract. And Jones's response to it was terrible. And then CeeDee Lamb comes out and just says, LOL. And he should be upset. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. You got to pay the man. And they lost 5 free agents this year and only brought in a 32-year-old linebacker, Lance Kendricks. They also lost their defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, who I think is a great DC. And I think that's a significant loss for a defense that I think overachieved last year. Now, I don't like the energy coming out of Dallas at all. The skill positions outside of CD are so weak. So if Dak or CD misses time, I think this offense is kind of going to stink. And I think their win total should be 9.5. And I was thinking of pulling the under on their win total at 10, but I think I'd rather just take the Eagles because the Giants and the Commanders, I don't think are ready yet. What I will say is I do think that the Giants are going to be a little bit better than the market thinks, but not that much better. I actually have them at 7 wins, which is slightly higher than their 6.5 win total. So I would lean towards the under, but I don't think they go up to the 10 win, 11 win threshold that I think it's going to take to win this division. Now, Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hyatt are exciting pieces. but I don't think they're going to move the ball consistently because their offensive line by PFF ranks 29th in the league. Another reason why I like Saquon this year. Imagine running behind that Giants O-line when they stack the box, and you got Tommy DeVito at quarterback versus now Jalen Hurts and the second best offensive line in the NFL. Now, on the Giants side, like Dexter Lawrence is as good as it gets, and the addition of Brian Burns definitely helps. But what's interesting is that PFF still ranked them as the 18th best defensive line. Now, I think they're better than that. But still, it's not an elite defensive line. And I just cannot see them winning the division with Daniel Jones at quarterback. That offensive line and a defense that is improved, but I just can't buy into Daniel Jones overtaking the Eagles or the Cowboys. I just can't. And if we look at the Commanders, like I like Jaden Daniels. I think he could be a good quarterback, but he's walking into just such a tough situation. He's operating as a rookie behind the 27th ranked offensive line and below average players at skill positions. Now, Scary Terry McLaurin is anything but above average, but the rest leaves a lot to be desired. Now, I'm worried that Daniels really won't have any time in the pocket, and it'll be tough for him to do it alone in his first season. So, as you guys can tell, again, I'm going to keep reiterating this because I think if you take one thing away from this page is look at the trenches. I think that they are the most important aspect in the NFL. Can you protect your quarterback, and can you get after the quarterback? A lot of games are decided right there. That's why the left tackle is the second highest paid position, and that's why edge defenders are paid the buku bucks. Now, obviously, quarterback matters, but when I'm looking at this division, I personally prefer Jalen Hurts over any quarterback in this division. When I'm looking at the trenches, Eagles are number 2 on offensive line, number 3 in defensive line. The Dallas Cowboys, their offensive line has taken a step back because they've lost people and they're outside the top 10 at this point, and their defensive line is also outside the top 10. And then we look at the Giants and the Commanders, who are both bottom half of the league on both. I just can't get there with them. Overall, I'm high on the Eagles, I'm low on the Cowboys, and I'm pretty much in line with the market on the Giants and the Commanders. Now, I think that this trend continues and the Eagles win the division, keeping the streak alive. We're going to run 2 units on the Eagles to win the NFC East at -110. This is good up to -125. I also don't mind taking the Eagles over win total, but it's not because I'm obsessed with the Eagles this year and I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I just think that they are clearly the best team in this division. So give me the Eagles to win the NFC East. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of the NFC East, make sure to hit that subscribe button because you're going to find all of my NFL content on this channel all season long.